Title for YouTube. The ice storm brought something strange. A cry that wasn't human. The wind howled like a beast in pain. Ryan stood by the window of his small wooden cabin. He had lived in the snowy mountains for years. He liked the silence. He liked being alone. But tonight, the silence was gone. The sky outside had turned dark too dark. Snow was falling fast, and the wind was stronger than ever before. Ryan had never seen a storm like this. He checked the weather scanner on his old desk. The machine was making strange noises. The screen blinked. Unnatural activity detected, it said. What the hell? Ryan whispered. He stepped outside, pulling his heavy coat tight around him. Snow hit his face like sharp needles. The wind almost pushed him back inside. But something in his chest told him to go forward. There was something strange in the air. Not just the storm. Something else. Then he heard it. A sound. A cry. But it didn't sound human. Ryan froze. The cry came again. Faint, high-pitched, and full of fear. It came from the trees near the frozen river. No child could survive out there, Ryan muttered. Not in a storm. But he couldn't ignore it. He grabbed his flashlight and started walking toward the sound. Every step was hard. Snow was knee-deep. Trees shook as if they were afraid. Ryan's boots slipped, but he kept going. Then he saw it, something small, lying in the snow. Not moving. He rushed over, heart pounding. It looked like a child, but not a human one. Its skin was light blue, like the winter sky. Its arms were thin, its eyes shut tight. Tiny fingers were curled in pain. Its body shivered, even while lying still. Ryan knelt down beside it. What in God's name? The child had tears frozen on its face. Long crystal lines ran down its cheeks, shining like glass. It wasn't wearing much, just a strange silver cloth that stuck to its body. Ryan touched the child's arm. Ice cold. He took off his gloves and wrapped the child in his coat. It didn't move. For a second, Ryan thought it was too late. But then, a breath. A weak, slow breath. Ryan stood up fast and held the small creature close. I've got you, he whispered. You're not dying tonight. He turned back toward his cabin. Snow was falling harder now. The wind screamed louder, like it was angry. But Ryan moved fast. As soon as he stepped back onto his porch. The wind stopped. The snow slowed. The forest went quiet. It was like the storm had only come to leave this child. Inside, Ryan placed the child near the fire. He added more wood, made warm tea, and wrapped it in blankets. He looked at the face again. The child was young, maybe 5 or 6 if it had the same years as humans. But the eyes, though closed, looked heavy with stories. Where did you come from? Ryan asked softly. He noticed something. A small metal device tied to the child's arm. It was blinking. A soft blue light, like a heartbeat. Ryan touched it. The device gave off a soft hum. Then it flashed, showing a strange symbol. He didn't recognize it. Alien, maybe. Ryan had seen many things in his life, but nothing like this. The child moved slightly. Its lips parted. A soft sound came out, just one word. Shuran. Ryan leaned closer. Is that your name? The child didn't answer, but his body relaxed. Just a little. Ryan sighed. He looked out the window. The snow was still falling, but the wind was gone. A strange peace had come over the mountain, but deep. Inside, Ryan knew this was only the beginning. Something had arrived. Something powerful, and it had left a child behind. But why? And who or what was coming next? Asterisk title for YouTube. He spoke one word. And it wasn't from Earth. The fire burned softly in the corner of the cabin. Ryan sat nearby, staring at the strange child wrapped in blankets. Snow still tapped the windows, but inside it was quiet. Too quiet. He should have been afraid, but he wasn't. He felt responsible. The child hadn't moved since he brought him in. His breathing was slow, but steady. The strange blue light on his wrist device continued to blink, like a heartbeat trying to stay alive. Ryan took a sip of tea. His hands were still shaking. I found a child in a blizzard, he whispered to himself. A child that's not even human. He reached for his old notebook. something he hadn't used in years. He started writing. Subject appears young. Around 5 years old. Skin light blue? Unknown symbols on arm device. No visible wounds. Breathing normal. Body temperature low. Name might be Juran. Just then, a small gasp. Ryan froze. The child's fingers moved. Then his eyes opened wide, glowing silver, with no pupils. Ryan raised his hand slowly. Hey, it's okay. You're safe. The boy sat up, his eyes darting around the room. He looked terrified. His hand shook. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out, only a sharp breath, like pain. Ryan kept his voice calm. I found you in the snow. You were freezing. I brought you here. The child looked at the fire, then at Ryan. He backed away a little. Ryan didn't move. Then, in a soft, broken voice, the child spoke. Not safe? Ryan's heart skipped a beat. You speak English? The boy struggled with the words. Some learned. He touched the glowing device on his arm. It blinked faster, and now, reacting to something. Ryan slowly approached. What is that thing? The boy didn't answer. Instead, he raised his arm, and the device projected something into the air. A blue hologram. Ryan stepped back. Stunned, the image showed a small spaceship, spinning through a stormy sky. Lightning crackled. The ship was hit. Fire exploded from its side. It fell fast, crashing into the snow-covered forest. The hologram disappeared. Ryan looked at the boy. That was your ship, wasn't it? The child nodded. Were you alone? He shook his head. Then he raised 2 fingers, pointed to the sky, and said just one word. Mama. The sound of that one word, soft, lost, and filled with sadness, hit Ryan hard. His eyes softened. She's looking for you. Or maybe you're looking for her. The boy nodded again. He looked down, then back up, with wet eyes. Tears. Real. Tears. And again they began to freeze on his blue skin. Ryan gently wiped one off with his sleeve. Don't cry, kid. We'll find her. He stood and walked to a shelf, pulled out an old backpack, filled it with tools, batteries, a radio, and food. If your ship crashed, maybe we can find it. Maybe there's a clue, something to help us reach her. The boy watched him carefully. He stood up slowly, weak but willing. Ryan smiled. You're stronger than you look, Juran. The child didn't smile back. But for the first time, he didn't look afraid. As Ryan opened the door to leave, his computer monitor flashed red. Unidentified signal detected. The signal came from the forest, near where Ryan had found the boy. A second signal appeared. Another was approaching. Fast. Ryan narrowed his eyes. He looked down at Juran. You weren't the only thing that fell from the sky, were you? Juran looked up, his face suddenly serious. No, he whispered. And then, without warning, the light on his wrist turned bright red. Asterisk title for YouTube. The hologram spoke. It wasn't any human language. The cabin lights flickered once. Then again, Ryan stared at the glowing red device on Juran's wrist. The light wasn't just blinking now, it was pulsing, like a warning or a heartbeat that had started to run. Juran stepped back, holding his arm, eyes wide with fear. He looked out the window, then up at the ceiling, as if he was listening to something only he could hear. Juran, Ryan said softly. What does red mean? The boy didn't answer. His lips moved, but no words came. Just breath. Heavy. Fast. Frightened. Then suddenly, the wrist device projected light again. But this time, it wasn't a hologram of a ship. It was a face. Not Juran's. Not Ryan's. A female alien, same blue skin. Glowing silver eyes and long white markings. On her cheeks, she looked calm, but her voice trembled. My son. This is the last signal I can send. Ryan leaned closer. The message wasn't in English, but somehow the words translated themselves in real time. The light in the room bent and twisted around them as the voice continued. They came for us. I had no choice. I launched your pod before the storm reached the valley. I will find you. Stay hidden. Trust no one. Unless they help you. And if you find this message, she paused. Her voice cracked. Know that I love you. The hologram flickered. The face glitched for a moment, then returned. You are not just my son. You are hope. Then the message ended. Just darkness. The red light faded to blue again. Juron stood silent. No tears. Just silence. Ryan slowly sat down on a chair beside the fire. His voice was low. She's alive. She's looking for you. Juron nodded. But others Look too. He pointed toward the forest. His face changed, more serious than ever before. There were hunters. Ryan's body tensed. Hunters, like people chasing you? Joran's eyes glowed faintly. Not people. Not like you. They destroy. Before Ryan could ask more, a sharp sound cut through the silence. A mechanical chirp coming from his old radio system. He rushed over. Static. Then a signal. A strange voice spoke in code. Clicking, buzzing, almost insect-like. Not human. Not friendly. Then, through the noise, came a chilling word repeated twice in the same tone. Target. Located. Located. Ryan's eyes widened. They weren't alone anymore. He turned. To Juron. They're close, listening, watching. Juron held up his small hand, and for the first time, his body glowed faintly with a soft, warm light. Power deep inside him was waking up, but before anything could be said, the radio sparked and went dead. The silence that followed was even worse. Then, without warning, a loud metallic thud hit the roof. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ryan grabbed his flashlight. Stay behind me, he whispered. Another sound, this time near the back wall. Juron's wrist device glowed again, but now it was scanning, reacting to something nearby. The scan drew a small blue dot map on Ryan's wall. It showed something moving around the cabin, something crawling with legs. Not human legs. Ryan's mind raced. He had no weapons, just a small hunting knife and old tools. But whatever was outside wasn't afraid of doors or walls. He turned to Juron. We can't stay here. Juron nodded. Crash. Find core. Ryan blinked. What core? The child placed his hand over his heart. Memory. Message. My kind left signs. They find us. Ryan grabbed his backpack and opened a trapdoor under the floor. It led to an old tunnel he'd used during snowstorms. He didn't think he'd need it again. He was wrong. He motioned to Juron. Let's move. Quiet. As they dropped into the dark passage below, snow fell again from the roof, this time followed by the sharp, mechanical scrape of claws on metal. The storm wasn't over. It had just taken a new shape. Asterisk. Title. For YouTube. Something was tracking them. And it wasn't human. The tunnel was cold, narrow, and completely dark. Ryan held the flashlight in one hand and Juron's tiny blue fingers in the other. The child's hand was warm now, but it trembled. They had walked for nearly 20 minutes under the snow-covered ground. The tunnel had once been part of an old mining path. Ryan had discovered it years ago, but never needed it. Until tonight, above them, the sounds had stopped. No more scratching. No more teach you d's. Too quiet. That was worse. Juron whispered. They left. Ryan shook his head. No, they're waiting. They reached the end of the tunnel. A rusty ladder led up to a trapdoor hidden in a snow-covered shed deep in the forest. Ryan climbed first. When he pushed open the door, moonlight poured in, but something was wrong. The forest didn't look normal. Snow was falling, but it was falling upward. Ryan blinked. He rubbed his eyes. No, he wasn't imagining it. The snow was rising into the sky, pulled by some invisible force. Leaves floated, trees bent, and the air hummed like it was alive. Juron stepped out behind him. It's here, he said softly. The hunter. Ryan turned sharply. What is it? Juron looked up at the trees. Not a man. Not beast. It steals light, follows heat, it smells fear. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. And how do we stop it? Juron looked down. We don't. Then, in the distance, came a sound, not a growl, not a footstep, a clicking noise. Sharp. Repeating dot click, click, click got it. Echoed between the trees like the sound of metal teeth snapping together. Ryan reached into his pack, pulling out a flare gun. We might not stop it, but I can slow it down. He handed Juran a small signal device from the wreckage. You said your ship's core fell nearby? Juran nodded. This finds it. The device began to beep quiet at first, then faster. It pointed southeast. Ryan scanned the trees. All right. We move fast, no sound, no lights. Stay close. But before they could take a step, a tree exploded beside them. Bark and snow flew into the air. Something had fired a blast. And it wasn't far. Ryan grabbed Juran and ran. Through the trees, over fallen logs, past ice-covered rocks. The signal device beeped louder dot behind them. The clicking grew faster dot then dashed footsteps dot heavy, slow, and not human. Whatever it was, it didn't run. It didn't need to dot, it was hunting dot. Ryan reached a ridge where the ground dropped into a frozen valley. From there, under the moonlight, they saw it. A crash site. Half of a strange, curved ship was buried in the snow. Blue light pulsed from cracks in the metal. Alien symbols glowed faintly on its side. Juran's eyes lit up. That's it. The core is inside. They slid down the slope and ran toward the wreckage. But Ryan stopped suddenly. Something stood. Between them and the ship, a figure, 7 feet tall. Silver armor, long arms. Eyes like burning coal dot, the hunter dot. It didn't move. It didn't speak. Dot, it simply turned its head sideways like a wolf examining weak prey. Juran hid behind Ryan. Shaking dot, the hunter raised its hand. And then, with a sudden move, it fired a bolt of light toward them. But Ryan was faster. He grabbed Juran, jumped to the side, and fired his flare gun. The light hit the hunter in the chest. It didn't scream. It didn't fall dot, it just stood there, smoke rising from its armor. Juran's device beeped wildly now. The core was close. Ryan looked at him. Can you get it? Can you run? Juran nodded. Then go. I'll distract it. Juran hesitated. Go. The boy sprinted toward the ship. Ryan picked up a rock and threw it at the hunter. Hey, over here, you metal freak. The hunter turned its burning eyes on Ryan. It charged. Ryan ran in the opposite direction, leading the monster away. Trees snapped as it chased him. Every step shook the ground. Juran reached the wreckage. He placed his hand on the metal. His wrist device glowed bright and then the ship responded. A small panel opened. Inside it, something pulsed with light. The core. Juran grabbed it. Back in the forest. Ryan tripped. The hunter stood over him, raising a blade from its arm, but just before it could strike, a bright wave of energy burst from the ship that had hit the hunter. Hard. It staggered. Juran stood at the top of the slope, holding the core in both hands. His body glowed with power. The snow around him rose into the air. He had activated something old, something powerful, and the hunter knew it. Because for the first time, it ran. The forest was silent. Again. No footsteps. No storm. No clicking. Only the soft hum. The alien core glowing in Juran's hands. Ryan lay in the snow, gasping for breath. His shoulder throbbed with pain from the fall. He looked up, blinking against the fading light. Juran was still glowing. His body, once small and weak, now pulsed with quiet power. His eyes were no longer silver. They had turned white bright, burning, and empty like the stars themselves. He didn't look like a scared child anymore. He looked ancient. Juran? Ryan said carefully. The boy turned his head, slowly, as if waking from a dream. The glow in his eyes faded. He blinked once, twice. His hands dropped to his sides. The core dimmed. He was back. But Ryan had seen it. There was something inside the boy. Something more than just fear or sadness. Something buried deep. He stood up slowly, rubbing snow from his coat. Juran walked to him and placed the core in Ryan's hands. Now, we find the sky? He said softly. Ryan studied the core. It looked a live liquid light trapped in crystal. What does this do? He asked. Juran touched his chest. It remembers. It calls. Calls who? Juran looked up at the sky. Before Ryan could ask more, A sharp sound pierced the forest air. A scream. Not human. Not animal. It was filled with pain. But also something worse. Anger. They weren't safe. Ryan nodded toward the wreck. Let's go inside. We need a rest before the next round. They stepped into the broken ship. It was cold and silent, but still alive in small ways. Lights flickered. A soft hum echoed through the metal. Strange writing glowed on the walls. Ryan sat near a broken panel and opened his backpack. He cleaned the cut on his arm. Juran sat across from him, watching. You've done this before. The boy said. Ryan chuckled. Not with aliens, no. But I used to fix people. I was rescue pilot during Earth's last war. Juran tilted his head. You lost someone? Ryan paused. Yeah, my brother. Juran looked down. I lost my father. A long silence hung between them. Two different worlds, but the same kind of pain. Then Ryan asked. Juran, back there. When you glowed, what was that? The boy didn't answer at first. Then he whispered. It's inside me. A seed. My people gave it to me for protection, but it grows. Ryan frowned. Grows into what? Juran's voice turned cold. Something dangerous. If I lose control, I won't be me. Ryan stared at him. The child was scared of something. Not outside, but inside himself. Before Ryan could say anything, the ship shook. A panel near the wall lit up. A soft female voice spoke in Juran's language. He stood up, walked to the panel, and placed his hand on it. The voice changed to English. Message. Unlocked. Emergency protocol active. Identity confirmed. Juran. Air class. Ryan sat up straighter. Air. The ship spoke again. One guardian survived. Location unknown. Tracked beacon signal active. Searching. Ryan stood. Wait, are you? Saying someone else from your kind is still out there. Juran nodded slowly. Maybe my mother. Maybe someone sent to protect me. Before they could celebrate, the core in Ryan's hand began to pulse. Then a sudden whisper filled the ship. A voice, low, broken, almost human, but not quite. You brought him here, human. You gave him the core. Ryan looked around, alarmed. Who's there? Juran's body tensed. A shape appeared in the shadows of the wreck. A figure stepped into the flickering light. Not the hunter. Not a monster. A man. A human. But his eyes glowed red. His voice was calm and cruel. I'm the one who followed. The storm. And I'm not here to hurt the child. He smiled darkly. I'm here to unlock him. The man's eyes glowed red like dying stars. His voice was quiet, but it felt like it filled the ship. I've been watching him since he fell. He said, taking a slow step forward. He's not a child. Not anymore. Ryan stood protectively. In front of Juran. You're human, but not fully, are you? The stranger smiled. I was. Before I touch what your little friend carries inside him. Juran stepped back. His hands were shaking. He's infected. Dark seed. It changes minds. The man chuckled. It doesn't change us. It frees us. Then, in a blur, he raised. His hand in the metal walls of the ship bent slightly, groaning like they were alive. Ryan pulled Juran behind a broken console. Run. Now. But Juran didn't run. He reached into his coat and pulled out the core. It pulsed with light blue at first. Then white, then gold. The ship reacted instantly. Panels lit up. Symbols began spinning along the walls. The ground trembled. The man hissed, shielding his eyes. What are you doing? Juran stepped forward, eyes glowing. I remember now. A voice echoed from the ship's control system. Long-range distress beacon activating. Coordinates set. Awaiting. Energy link. The ceiling of the ship cracked open metal, pulling itself apart like it was peeling toward the sky. Above them, the clouds began to swirl, and then the wind stopped. The snow paused, frozen in time. A single beam of golden light shot up. From the core in Juran's hands, it punched through the sky like a signal flare for the stars. Ryan looked up, stunned. What is this? Juran's voice came steady and calm. a doorway. The light spread wider and wider until the sky itself began to shimmer. Like a mirror rippling with water dot, then a shadow appeared on the other side. Not a bird. Not a ship. A vessel as large as a mountain, moving slowly, like it was pushing its way between realities. The infected man growled. You called them your kind, your protectors? Euron didn't blink. My mother. The man screamed and charged forward, but Euron raised one hand, and for a split second, time bent. Around him? The man stopped in mid-step, frozen in the air, like he had been paused. Euron looked at Ryan. She's close. But so is this storm. Ryan walked up beside him. You've changed. Euron turned his glowing eyes to Ryan. No, I'm remembering who I am. Suddenly, alarms went off inside the ship. The AI spoke again. Multiple hostile signatures approaching from orbit. 5.20. Weapons locked. Ryan gritted his teeth. They followed your signal. Euron nodded. Yes, and they've brought an army. Ryan looked up at the glowing sky portal as alien ships dark. Sharp and silent began slipping through cracks in space like knives, cutting into paper. But then, from the other side, came a roar, a deep musical roar that vibrated through bone and sky. A second ship broke through the light. It was unlike anything Ryan had ever seen, smooth, bright, alive. It shimmered with blue crystal wings and a symbol that matched the one on Euron's chest. Euron smiled. Softly, she came. The ship hovered above them, and a beam of light gently fell around Euron. The ground under his feet began to lift. Slowly, he rose into the air, calm, glowing, quiet. But then, boom! An enemy ship fired. The shot hit the ground near Ryan, throwing him backward. Euron screamed, his voice echoed with power. Cracking the snow under him, he lowered back to the ground, glowing like a sun trapped in a child's form. Ryan stood, bruised but alive. Euron walked toward him, placed the core in Ryan's hands. Protect this. It holds everything, my world, my mother's code, and the truth. Ryan frowned. You're not going with her? Euron's eyes flared white again. Not yet. I have to stop what's coming. As the enemy ship surrounded the valley, Ryan looked around and whispered, So, what now? Euron turned toward the storm and said, Now we fight. Asterisk. The sky was no longer one color. Half of it burned with fire enemy ships floating, like silent blades ready to strike. The other half shimmered with soft light, a ship of peace, glowing like a guardian star dot, and in the middle of it all stood a child dot, not just a child dot, Euron dot. His eyes no longer glowed wildly. They were calm now, focused, like he had made peace with what he was. Ryan stood beside him, holding the core, which pulsed like a heart in his hands, dot above them. Enemy ships began to descend, slow and steady. The voice of Euron's mother came from the peaceful ship overhead, calm, but firm. Euron, you must board. It is too dangerous down there. But Euron shook his head. If I leave now, they'll follow. They'll never stop. Ryan looked at him. You said the core holds everything. Can it stop them? Euron nodded slowly. If I connect with it completely, I can send a wave not to destroy them. To show them? Show them what? Euron looked up. What it feels like to be hunted, to be alone, to cry in the snow. Ryan held the core tighter. Will you survive it? Euron didn't answer. His silence said, Enough. Suddenly, the ships began to charge their weapons. Red lights blinked. Engines roared. Euron walked forward, his small feet crunching softly in the snow. He stepped onto a patch of ice, raised both hands, and closed his eyes. The core floated from Ryan's hands into the air. It glowed brighter than ever. Symbols spun around it. The wind stopped. The air held its breath. Euron whispered one word, remember, and then light. Not a flash. Not a beam. A wave of golden memory exploded outward from the core, silent, soft, unstoppable. It passed through. Ryan like warm air. It touched every tree, every cloud, every star dot, and it reached the enemy ship's dot inside each one. The pilots froze. Not with fear, but with feeling. They saw memories that were not their own. A boy alone in a cold forest. A mother calling through static. A stranger's hand reaching out in kindness. Some dropped their weapons. Others wept, one by one, the ships. Turned off their targeting systems. Some flew upward. Some hovered quietly. Peace didn't arrive with force. It arrived through pain shared. Juron slowly fell to his knees. His body flickered with light. His hands trembled. Ryan rushed to him. Juron. The boy looked up with soft, tired eyes. A single tear rolled down his cheek. But this time, it didn't freeze. It melted. Warm. Real. Ryan caught it on his palm. It's over, he whispered. You did it. From the ship above, a beam of light gently wrapped around Juron. It pulled him upward, slowly, like a mother lifting her child from a deep sleep. As he rose. He looked down at Ryan one last time, and smiled. A soft voice echoed in Ryan's mind, Juron's voice. Thank you. For finding me. Then the ship ascended into the clouds, vanishing into the light of a new dawn. The enemy ships faded one by one. Silence returned. Not the cold silence from before, but a peaceful one. Ryan stood alone now. Snow crunched softly beneath his boots as he turned to walk back toward his cabin. In his hand, he still held the crystal tear. It glowed faintly, like it remembered him too. The sun finally rose. And for the first time in years, Ryan smiled.